Okay, students, I hope I am audible to everyone who is attending the lecture today. We were doing discrete probability distributions last time. Okay, and in the discrete probability distributions, we had talked about probability mass function and cumulative distribution function. So it's just a quick review on discrete probability distribution. Okay, so we had first done in the last class the concept of probability mass function. We had done the concept of probability mass function. Okay, and what was the definition of probability mass function? Probability that capital X, which is the random variable, takes the value small x is nothing but P of X. Probability of the random variable capital X taking the value small x is P of X. Okay, and we had drawn the distribution also, if you remember. This is my random variable X, this is P of X. X, capital X takes the values x1, x2, dot, 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 xn. Okay, the corresponding probabilities are P of x1, P of x2, dot, 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 P of xn. And their sum should be equal to 1. Summation as I goes on from 1 to n, P x I should be exactly equal to 1. This was my probability mass function. We had done some numericals on it last time. Then in the last class, we had also done cumulative distribution function. We had also done cumulative distribution function. Okay, now cumulative distribution function is given by capital F of X, which is the probability that the random variable X takes the values less than or equal to small x. Remember, this is also small x. F of small x is the probability that capital X takes the values less than or equal to small x, which I can write like this: summation P of y as y goes on from 0 to that small x. So cumulative distribution function is nothing but the probability of the random variable x taking all the values to the left of or equal to that small x. So I hope everyone was clear with the cumulative distribution function also last time. Okay, these were the two concepts we had touched upon, and we had done some good numericals also last time. Now, before moving forward, any student who has any particular doubt with the concept of probability mass function or cumulative distribution function, you can unmute your mic and ask before I move forward to the next concept. Okay, I hope there is no doubt. So then we can move forward. So now let's do the next proposition. It's all there in the lecture note. Let's look at this proposition. For any two numbers A and B with A less than or equal to B, probability that x lies between A and B is, I can write probability of x less than equal to B minus probability of x strictly less than A. Probability of x lying between A and B is probability of x less than equal to B minus probability of x strictly less than A. If I subtract them, I get this. Now, what is the probability of x less than equal to B? F of B. And what is my probability of x strictly less than A? Now, strictly less than A means f of A minus. When I talk about strictly less than A, that means A minus. Okay? Where A minus represents the largest possible, it represents the largest possible x value that is strictly less than A. That is strictly less than A. So I can say in particular, if A and B are integers, then probability of x lying between A and B will be f of B minus, what's the integer less than A? A minus 1. Okay, so I hope all students are clear with this proposition. For any two numbers A and B, probability that x lies between A and B is probability of x less than equal to B minus probability of x strictly less than A. Their difference will give us probability of x lying between A and B. Now, probability of x less than equal to B is f of B. Probability of x strictly less than A is f of A minus, where A minus represents the largest possible value of x that is strictly less than A. Suppose A and B are integers, then we have, how can I write f of A minus? I can write f of A minus as f of A minus 1. Because what's the largest integer less than A? The largest integer less than A is A minus 1. Similarly, we can write a corollary. The corollary states, if A is exactly equal to B, then probability that x is exactly equal to A, I can write as f of A minus f of A minus 1. What is f of A? F of A is the probability that x is less than equal to A minus probability of x less than equal to A minus 1. Now look at this. This is A, this is A minus 1. Probability of x less than equal to A minus probability of x less than equal to A minus will give me what? It will give me the probability of exactly x equal to A. So any student who has any doubt in this concept, please unmute your mic and ask before I erase it off from the whiteboard. Any student have any doubt? Yes.
Sir, A minus is, it's not a notation for power, right? It's just a notation that
yes,
it's the largest integer.
Yes, A minus is not the power here. A minus denotes the largest integer less than A. What's the largest integer you can have less than A? A minus 1. You guys have done the greatest integer function in maths, right? There is something called greatest integer function. It's like that. I hope now it's clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay, anyone else has any doubt? Please ask.
Sir, why is the probability in the first statement, why is it the difference between the two terms? I mean, I'm not able to understand that.
Look at the diagram I'm drawing. Look at the line I'm drawing. This is A and this is B. This is A and this is B. What is the probability that X lies between A and B? We have to find this. How can I find this? I subtract this minus this. Suppose I draw a line like this and this is my A and this is my B. I need to find this distance. So I can say this whole distance minus this distance. If I subtract this distance, if I subtract this distance from this big distance, what will I get? This distance. So what is this whole distance? F of B. And what is this whole distance? F of A minus. Because why have we not taken A? Why have we taken A minus? Because यहाँ पे अगर आप देखें, A is already included. If you look onto the formula, we have to find X lying between A and B, including A and B. So we need to find in the diagram this region. We need to find this region including A and B. So how will I find this region? This whole region minus this region will give me this region. This whole region is probability of X less than equal to B. This region will be X strictly less than A because A is automatically included here. I hope students are able to understand it. A is automatically included here. X lies between A and B, including A and B. So when I subtract here, it has to be strictly less than A. So strictly less than A means F of A minus, and F of A minus by definition means F of A minus 1. I hope now you are convinced.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Anyone else has any doubt? It's not the time to hesitate, guys. Don't think that exams happen in Jan, so we'll ask in December. You should ask immediately when the lecture is going on. Okay? So students who ask.
So can we also say that for the second term, that is probability of X strictly less than A, we are taking strictly less than A because we've already taken X less than equal to B? Can we say that because already somehow we are including A?
No, it's nothing to do with B. It's all to do with A being included. We are taking X strictly less than A here because A is included here. It's nothing to do with B. B is another point on the line. It's all to do with A. अगर यहाँ पे A included ना होता, suppose ये निकालना होता हमको, suppose we have to find this, तब आप A को यहाँ पे include कर देते. अभी ये भी हम पढ़ेंगे. We'll just study this in 2 minutes. अगर यहाँ पर A included ना होता तो यहाँ पे A included होता, और अगर यहाँ पे A included होता तो ये F of A minus ना होकर के सिर्फ F of A होता. लेकिन जैसे ही मैंने A को यहाँ पर इंक्लूड कर दिया, यहां से इंक्लूड का पार्ट हट जाएगा. This will be X strictly less than A, and X strictly less than A is not F of A, it is F of A minus. And F of A minus is F of A minus 1. I hope now it's clear.
Yes, sir. समझ आ गया.
Anyone else has any doubt? Please ask. I hope all students have understood the corollary also. A particular case, if A is exactly equal to B, then probability of X equal to A is F of A minus F of A minus 1. Okay. So I am clearing off the whiteboard. Okay, now let's, so let me take an example. Suppose X takes the possible values. Suppose the possible values of X are 0, 1 to 6, up to 6. Then if I have to find P of 3, that is what? probability of x equal to 3. How can I find probability of x equal to 3? I can do this p of 0 plus p of 1 plus p of 2 plus p of 3 plus p of 4 plus p of 5 plus p of 6 minus p of 0 plus p of 1 plus p of 2. Sorry, we'll not go till 4, 5 and 6. This is by mistake. So p of 0 plus p of 1 plus p of 2 plus p of 3 minus p of 0 plus p of 1 plus p of 2. If I subtract this, what do I get? I get p of 3. Now I ask you, what is this term? This term is nothing but f of 3. And this term is nothing but f of 2. What is f of 3? Probability of x less than equal to 3. That means p of 0 plus p of 1 plus p of 2 plus p of 3 minus what will f of 2 be? Probability of x less than equal to 2, which means p of 0 plus p of 1 plus p of 2. Okay, this was one particular example. Similarly, if I have to find probability of x lying between 2 and 4, that will be p of 2 plus p of 3 plus p of 4. And how can I write this? I can write it as p of 0 plus dot 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 p of 4 minus p of 0 plus p of 1. We will not subtract p of 2 now. Why? Because 2 is included here. 2 is automatically included here. तो यहाँ से हम p of 2 subtract नहीं करेंगे. तो अगर आप ये subtract, अगर आप p of 0 plus p of 1 plus p of 2 plus p of 3 plus p of 4 minus p of 0 minus p of 1 करोगे तो you will exactly get this. p of 2 plus p of 3 plus p of 4. And now this whole thing is nothing but f of 4 and this whole thing is nothing but f of 1. So remember, f of b minus f of a minus 1. F of b here is 4 and a here is 2. So 2 minus 1 will be f of 1. I hope all students are clear when we have done this example now. The last slide was a general formula. This is a particular example to explain you. So you can clearly see it's probability of x lying between 2 and 4, including 2 and 4, is f of 4 minus f of 1, where f of 1 is nothing but a minus 1, where a is nothing but 2. So 2 minus 1 is 1. So I hope all students have got this. Okay. Let's come to the lecture note and I want to explain a part to you. Or what you all can do is you all can open up the lecture note once. I request all of you to open the lecture note. There is an example given. It's a practice question. Okay. Let X denote the number of sick leaves taken by a randomly selected employee of a large company during a particular year. If the maximum number of allowable sick leaves per year is 14, the possible values of X are 0 to 14. So suppose we have X as my random variable, which denotes number of days of sick leave, taken by a randomly selected employee. Number of days of sick leave taken by a randomly selected employee. Okay. And the possible values of X are 0, 1, 2 to 14. So you can see it's a discrete random variable. X here is a discrete random variable. It takes discrete values. Also, we are given in the question that f of 0 is 0.58, f of 1 is 0.72, f of 2 is 0.76, f of 3 is 0.81, f of 4 is 0.88, and f of 5 is 0.94. How will I interpret this? How will I interpret f of 1? Probability that at most one sick leave is taken by a randomly selected employee is 0.72. How will I interpret f of 5? Probability that at most 5 days of sick leave is taken by a randomly selected employee is 0.94. At most means less than equal to. Okay. So you should know how to interpret cumulative distribution function. Okay. So now they ask us find the probability that x lies between 2 and 5, including 2 and 5. Now who will tell me what will be the answer without looking into the lecture note? This will be f of 5 minus f of 2 minus 1, f of b minus f of a minus 1, which is f of 5 minus f of 1. So f of 5 is 0.94 minus f of 1 is 0.72. So this makes it 0.22. And the second thing, they ask probability of x exactly equal to 3. This will be f of 3 minus f of 2. F of 3 will be 0.81 minus f of 2 will be 0.76. So this will be 0.05. I hope the numerical has made it clear to everyone. Any doubts you have, please feel free to ask before we move forward. Anyone has any doubts till now, please ask. Okay, then let's move forward. Now the next concept on our screens, the concept of expected value. The concept of expected value. Okay, so let's quickly look at the definition. Let x be a discrete random variable with the set of possible values. Let x be a discrete random variable with the set of possible values d and the probability mass function p of x. Then the expected value or the mean value of x we denote as e of x or mu of x is nothing but summation of x into p of x, where x belongs to d. So let's look at the definition first. X is a discrete random variable and its domain is d. All of us know domain is the set of values taken by the variable x. So x takes possible values d. Okay, it's a discrete random variable. And its probability mass function is given by p of x. Then the expected value of x, also denoted as mu of x, is summation as x takes values over d, small x into p of x. This is called the expected value of x or mu of x, or I can write mean value of x. Mean value of x. I hope students are clear with the definition. We can do a question. A question gives you a better understanding. So practice question. Okay. Suppose a university has 15,000 students. It's exactly the example I'm taking from the lecture note. Suppose a university has 15,000 students and let X denote the number of courses for which a randomly selected student is registered. Randomly selected student is registered. X denote the number of courses for which a randomly selected student is registered. What are we given? We are given the probability mass function. X is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and my P of X is 0.01, 0.03, 0.13, 0.25, 0.39, 0.17, and 0.02. How will I interpret? If I ask you to interpret this, how can we interpret this? Probability that a randomly selected student has registered for 3 courses is 0.13. How will I interpret this? Probability that a randomly selected student has registered for 6 courses in the university is 0.17. So again, you should know how to actually interpret the table. Now they ask us find E of X. So how will I find E of X? They ask us to find E of X. So my E of X will be nothing but summation X into P of X, which will be 1 into 0.01 plus 2 into 0.03 plus 3 into 0.13 plus 4 into 0.25. I can further go plus 5 into 0.39 plus 6 into 0.17 and plus 7 into 0.02. I hope it's not clumsy for you. You're able to look at it on the screen, even though it's written way in the bottom part. E of X is summation X into P of X, which is 1 into its corresponding probability till 7 into its corresponding probability. Now it will come out to be exactly 4.57. So if I talk about a randomly selected student on an average has taken how many courses? 4.57 courses. I can say approximately 5. You can't have 4.5 courses. So this is how I will interpret it. How will I interpret 4.57 E of X? It means if I randomly select an individual from the university, on an average that student has around 5 courses. Okay. Similarly, we can do another definition. I can erase this off. I hope so. I hope I can erase it off. Okay, let me do another example. Practice question 2. Let X denote the number of interviews. Let X denote a number of interviews a student has prior to getting a job. Prior to getting a job, okay? And the probability mass function of X is given by, probability mass function of X is given by P of X is equal to K by X square for X equal to 1, 2, 3, so on, and 0 otherwise. Let X denote the number of interviews a student has prior to getting a job. The probability mass function of X is given by P of X, which is K by X square, for X taking values 1, 2, 3, and so on, and 0 otherwise. Okay? Where in the question they have given where K is chosen, so that summation as X goes on from 1 to infinity, K by X square should be equal to 1. We know that sum of all probability should be equal to 1. Summation Px should be equal to 1. Now what is my Px? My Px is K by X square. Okay, and we have given that X is a discrete random variable. It's going up till infinity. 1, 2, 3, 4, it's going up till infinity. So K is a number chosen in such a way so that summation as X goes on from 1 to infinity, K by X square is equal to 1. Now the question asks you find the expected value of X. So expected value of X, which is mu X, will be nothing but summation as X goes on from 1 to infinity, X into P of X, which will be summation as X goes on from 1 to infinity. What is my X? My X is, okay, it's X into P of X is K by X square. So X cancels with the power, so this becomes summation as X goes on from 1 to infinity, K by X. K is a constant, it comes out, so K into summation as X goes on from 1 to infinity, 1 upon X. Now all of us know in maths, okay, we know that summation 1 upon X as X goes on from 1 to infinity is called harmonic series. When you have done sequences and series, you must have done about harmonic series, and you can see that there and it therefore is equal to infinity. If I find summation as X goes on from 1 to infinity, 1 upon X is equal to infinity. So this will be K into infinity, which is infinity. So my expected value here is exactly equal to infinity. So I can say therefore E of X is infinite. It's not finite, it's infinite. So this is another type of question which can come in your exams. They can give you a function like this and they can ask you find E of X. You will directly use the formula E of X is summation X into P of X. X into P of X is K by X square. You get K by X. K is a constant. So K comes out into summation 1 upon X. Now summation 1 upon X is a harmonic series and it's going up till infinity. So 1 upon X as X goes on from 1 to infinity is equal to infinity. So K into infinity will be infinity. So I can say my E of X is infinite. So I hope till here it's clear to all the students. Any doubts you have, please feel free to ask.